Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Before I start, please excuse any shininess that you see right here. I have a Saniderm bandage on a brand new tattoo that I got. I'm a little worried that it's going to cause a glare as I'm filming, so sorry about that. But isn't this cute? I got this tattoo by Charlotte Eleanor out at Grit and Glory for Valentine's Day. They do this awesome little Valentine's Day walk-in every year. And I got this one this year, and I got this little cute baby cherub, evil angel dude back in 2020, right before the pandemic shut everything down. But yeah, so enough about me. Let's dive into this author spotlight. I feel like I haven't done an author spotlight in a while. I think the last one I did was Darcy Coates. I'll link that above. I try to do these author spotlights every couple months on authors that I really, really love or feel need to be highlighted, need a little bit more of a voice in the horror industry. A lot of times they are primarily indie horror writers and not like the big names like Stephen King or Clive Barker. So today I want to talk about Adam Nevill, who you guys probably do actually know because the film adaptation of his novel The Ritual was huge when it came out, I believe in 2017. So Adam Nevill, also known as Adam L.G. Nevill, is a horror writer. He's been writing since I want to say about 2004. He has written 10 novels and 5 short story collections. And he is from Birmingham, England originally, but grew up with his time split between England and New Zealand. He's been self-publishing many of his works since 2016. He created his own publishing house called Ritual Limited, obviously named after his most successful novel, The Ritual. His other best-known horror novels include Apartment 16, which I believe has been optioned for film, Last Days, which came out in 2012, No One Gets Out Alive, which was released in 2014, and in 2021 did have a film that came out, and then The Reddening, which was his 2019 released. And he has released his newest novel, Cunning Folk, which came out on Halloween of 2021. Now, Adam Nevill is primarily known for writing folk horror. If you've ever seen like The Wicker Man from the 70s with Christopher Lee, that kind of gives you a little bit of a taste of what Adam Nevill's kind of style is. He does a lot of British folk horror and a lot of cults. There's a lot of cults in his books. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Adam Nevill. I think Adam Nevill is an amazing writer, and I think he has the ability to write scary extremely well. I always say that there are 3 books that have ever truly scared me, Misery and It by Stephen King and The Reddening by Adam Nevill. Now, I'm not a fan of The Reddening by Adam Nevill. I think it's his weakest book that I've read so far, but I do think that it has one of the scariest scenes in horror lit that I have ever read. And even though that story is kind of a blur to me since I read it like 2 years ago and I read it very, very quickly, that scene still sticks in my head in perfect clarity. It was so upsetting and so unnerving and so disturbing, and I had to put the book down immediately after finishing reading that scene, and it was so hard for me to get through, and it borderlines on extreme horror, but it's more the situation that I just find so unnerving and disturbing, and it is truly, truly scary. One of the things that I like about Adam Nevill's work is that he blends kind of cosmic creature feature horror with things that could actually happen in real life. And almost all of his books have this kind of balance of things that are absolutely possible to happen to a person versus something that is like cosmic and supernatural that can come in. And usually the horror that is rooted in reality is actually scarier than our supernatural creatures or situations. And I love how Adam Nevill really, really blends all of that together. So let's talk about some of these books. So first up, let's chat about 2019's The Reddening, because I just brought that up. I love this cover. This cover is actually what drew me into this book, and it was the first book that I ever read from Adam Nevill. I had heard about The Ritual being very, very good, but this was a brand new release right when the pandemic started, so I picked it up, and it was one of my first pandemic reads. And we'll read the back for you. 1 million years of evolution didn't change our nature, nor did it bury the horrors predating civilization. Ancient rites, old deities, and savage ways can reappear in the places you least expect. Lifestyle journalist Katrine escaped past traumas by moving to a coast renowned for seaside holidays and natural beauty. But when a vast horde of human remains and prehistoric artifacts is discovered in nearby Brickburg, a hideous shadow engulfs her life. Helene, a disillusioned lone parent, lost her brother, Lincoln, 6 years ago. Disturbing subterranean noises he recorded prior to vanishing draw her back to Brickburg's caves, a site where early humans butchered each other across 60,000 years. Upon the walls, images of their nameless gods remain. Amidst rumors of drug plantations and new sightings of the mythical red folk, it also appears that the inquisitive have been disappearing from this remote part of the world for years. A rural idyll. Oh, that was hard to say. A rural idyll where outsiders are unwelcome and where an infernal power is believed to linger beneath the earth. A timeless supernormal influence that only the desperate would dream of confronting. But to save themselves and those they love, and to thwart a crimson tide of pitiless barbarity, Kat and Helene are given no choice. They were involved and condemned before they knew it. The Reddening is an epic story of folk and prehistoric horrors, written by the author of The Ritual, Last Days, No One Gets Out Alive, and 3-time winner of the August Derleth Award for Best Horror Novel. I actually believe he won that award for this, and I think he won it also for his new novel as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly certain he is now like a 5-time winner of that award. So yeah, that's The Reddening. The Reddening is very pivotal on folk horror, very culty, very well done. It just wasn't my favorite thing by Nevill. I was a little let down by it. I found the ending very strange. But I don't want to discourage people from reading that book, because I will say that the scariest scene I've ever read in a novel, apart from Stephen King's Misery and It, was in this book, and I think it's definitely worth talking about. Okay, next up is The Ritual. This is, again, his best known work, for very good reasons. This book is told in 2 parts. I do have to say that I like the first half significantly more than the second half. If you've ever seen my video on novels that are overhyped, this book is on there just because I don't think the second half stands up, and I really wish they had just cut it entirely. This movie is great. I really do enjoy this movie. I think the movie handles the second half of the book far better than this does. But the first half of the book also has 2 unbelievably scary scenes, both in abandoned buildings in the woods, and I've held on to those scenes from reading this book as very deeply disturbing, atmospheric, visually, right there on the page for you to see exactly what's going on, and utterly deeply disturbing. And I loved it. I really loved the first half of this book. I thought it was fantastic. So, when 4 old university friends set off into the Scandinavian wilderness of the Arctic Circle, they aim to briefly escape the problems of their lives and reconnect with one another. But when Luke, the only man still single and living a precarious existence, finds he has little left in common with his well-heeled friends, tensions rise. With limited experience between them, a shortcut meant to ease their hike turns into a nightmare scenario that could cost them their lives. Lost, hungry, and surrounded by forest, untouched for millennia, Luke figures things couldn't possibly get any worse. But then they stumble across a derelict building. Ancient artifacts decorate the walls, and there are bones scattered upon the dry floors. The residue of old rites and pagan sacrifice for something that still exists in the forest. Something responsible for the bestial presence that follows their every step. As the 4 friends stagger in the direction of salvation, they learn that death doesn't come easy among the ancient trees. The monster in this, I think, is the best monster that Adam Nevill has. Again, this is also going to feature cults. This is a fun one, this is a creepy one, and it's a very, very strong start, and I don't think it holds up with the ending. But I did really, really, really enjoy it, and the idea of being lost and stranded in the Arctic Circle woods is terrifying, and he does a great job of writing about that. Alright, next up is Last Days. I actually just finished this novel like a week ago, and I'm really, really, really happy with this. This is supposed to be the scariest book that Adam Nevill has ever written. I don't think it is. This originally came out in 2012. The Ritual was originally released in 2011. I don't think I said that. But this is really, really fun. This is about guerrilla filmmaking and cults. Lots of cults. We love cults horror. Alright. When guerrilla documentary maker Kyle Freeman is asked to shoot a film on the notorious cult known as the Temple of the Last Days, it appears his prayers have been answered. The cult became a worldwide phenomenon in 1975, when there was a massacre including the death of its infamous leader, Sister Catherine. Kyle's brief is to explore the paranormal myths surrounding an organization that became a testament to paranoia, murderous rage, and occult rituals. The shoot's locations take him to the cult's first temple in London, an abandoned farm in France, and a derelict copper mine in the Arizona desert where the Temple of the Last Days met its bloody end. But when he interviews those involved in the case, those who haven't broken silence in decades, a series of uncanny events plague the shoots. Troubling out-of-body experiences, nocturnal visitations, and the sudden demise of their interviewees, and the discovery of ghastly artifacts make Kyle question what exactly it is the cult has awoken, as well as its interest in him. Again, I really enjoyed this. Unlike The Ritual, this is told in one part. For the most part, it takes place throughout all of the different various film locations. I thought the very last, fifth of this book was weird and felt very out of place for the rest of the story, though it does hold one of the scariest scenes in the book. The filming of the cult's old house in London was by far the scariest part of this book, and I thought it was very well done. I love that things happen in this novel, and then because there's a camera crew, they can go back and rewatch what they experienced, and I have never seen a book do that before, and I think that really elevates and adds to the horror in this, but it does also add to the page count. This book is probably 100 pages longer than it should be, but still very well done, very scary, very fun. I think The Ritual and Last Days are kind of tied for where they fall in my liking of Adam Nevill's writing. I think The Ritual's first half is the best thing Adam Nevill has ever written, but I think this book overall is superior. Alright, and last but not least on books I have to recommend is No One Gets Out Alive. This was on my top 10 books of 2021 list. This was only a 4-star read for me though, which is interesting, though I did really love it. I think this book is terrifying. I think it is deeply unsettling and extremely well done. This book balances a fear of isolation, violence towards women with cosmic horror. Talks a lot about claustrophobia, anxiety, and depression, and it's just so well done, so well crafted. There is a movie that came out in 2021 inspired by this book, and it is absolute trash. Do not watch it. It is garbage. It butchers the story. I'm really sorry. I know people like that movie, and that movie just takes the great ending of this book, completely removes it, and rewrites the ending to fully miss the message of this story, and that gutted me on the inside. And they redid the monster, and there was just a lot. Anyway, when Stephanie moves to a notoriously cheap neighborhood of Birmingham, which is where Adam Nevill is originally from, she's happy to find an affordable room for rent that's just large enough not to deserve her previous room's nickname, The Cell. The eccentric, albeit slightly overly friendly landlord seems nice and welcoming. The ceilings are high, and all of the other tenants are also girls. Things aren't great, but they're stable. Or at least that's what she tells herself when she impulsively hands over the money to cover the first month's rent and decides to give it a go. But soon after, she becomes uneasy about her rash decision. She hears things in the night, feels them, things or people who aren't there in the light, who couldn't be there, because after all, her door is locked every night, and the key is still in place in the morning. Concern soon turns to terror when the voices she hears and presence she feels each night become hostile. It's clear that something very bad has happened in this house, and something even worse is happening now. Stephanie has to find a way out before whatever is going on in the house finds her first. No One Gets Out Alive will chill you straight through to the core. A cold, merciless, fear-inducing nightmare to the last page. A word of caution. Don't read this one in the dark. And I agree with that. This is definitely the scariest book. There are multiple scenes in this novel that I could highlight as super utterly disturbing and had me want to put the book down. Nothing as disturbing as The Reddening, but still, the vast majority of this book is scary. So if you want a book that's going to scare you, this is it. This book does deserve a trigger warning. Again, the women in this story are not treated well at all. And so yes, trigger warning for that. It is very disturbing, a lot of the things that happen to them. But I did love this book. I thought the ending was great. I thought the overall story was great, and it's told in 2 parts, and unlike The Ritual, the second half of this book makes a lot of sense, elevates the first half, and is very well done. Maybe a little culty. This book definitely leans more on the cosmic side, the cosmic horror side of Adam Nevill's horror, but this is definitely my top recommendation for Adam Nevill. It's like 500 or 600 pages. Yeah, I think it's like 600 pages. But unlike Last Days, every word in this book is very much pivotal to the plot and really lends a hand to the greatness of this overall story. Okay, so I haven't read this yet, but I did pick up a first edition signed copy of Cunning Folk. This is, again, Adam Nevill's newest novel. Planning on reading this very, very, very soon. I'm really excited. It's gotten really, really good reviews, and I've heard that it is very classic culty folklore horror. So let's read the inside. No home is heaven with hell next door. Money's tight, and their new home is a fixer-upper. Deep in rural southwest England, with an ancient wood at the foot of the garden, Tom and his family are miles from anywhere and anyone familiar. His wife Fiona was never convinced that buying the money pit at auction was a good idea, not least because the previous owner committed suicide, though no one can explain why. Within days of crossing the threshold, when hostilities break out with the elderly couple next door, Tom's dreams of future contentment are threatened by an escalating tit-for-tat campaign of petty damage and disruption. Increasingly isolated and tormented, Tom risks losing his home, everyone dear to him and his mine, because surely only the mad would suspect that the oddballs across the hedgerow command unearthly powers, a malicious magic even older than the eerie wood and the strange barrow therein, a hallowed realm from where, he suspects, his neighbors draw a hideous power. A compelling folk horror story of deadly rivalry and the oldest magic from the author of The Ritual, The Reddening, and the 4 times winner of the August Derleth Award for Best Horror Novel. Oh, see, I was right. He did win for The Reddening. So yes, this is Cunning Folk. It sounds very Rosemary's Baby meets like Hereditary. Really excited to read it. Hopefully I'll get it read in the next month or two. It's been on my list for a while. I ordered it, well, I pre-ordered it and then got it for Halloween, and I just haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm so very, very excited. Anyways, this is my author spotlight on Adam Nevill. I highly, highly, highly recommend you check out his work. He does scary very well, he does folk horror very, very well, and he does cults extremely well. So if you are into that, you might like Adam Nevill. Anyways, as always, thank you all so much for watching. I post every Monday and Thursday and sometimes on Saturdays. If you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Mwah.